Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Next Gen Oncology Trials, Breaking Down Silos from Study Design to Patient Care. My name is Pooja Sood, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this session. On behalf of the entire Cloudbyz team, thank you for joining us to explore innovative approaches to streamlining oncology clinical trials. Today, we'll dive into the unique challenges of oncology trials and how cloud-based eClinical platform solutions break down silos to enhance efficiency and patient outcomes. Here's what we have planned for today. So, we'll be starting with an overview of Cloudbyz and our mission to transform clinical trial management. We'll discuss the unique challenges of oncology trials, from study complexity to patient centric hurdles. We'll also be exploring how Cloudbyz eClinical platform addresses these challenges and fosters collaboration across stakeholders. Then we'll move on to comparing traditional oncology trial timelines with cloud-based enabled approaches to highlight accelerated study startup. You'll also get a sneak peek of the cloud-based eClinical platform through a live demo. And finally, we'll be concluding with key benefits and a Q&A session to address your questions. A few housekeeping items before we proceed. This session is being recorded and will be available on our website at www.cloudbyz.com with a follow-up email sent to all the registrants. Your microphones are muted to minimize distractions, but please feel free to use the Q&A section and the chat section to engage throughout the session. If you encounter technical issues, let us know in the chat and our team will assist promptly. As a thank you for staying until the Q&A, we'll be sharing an exclusive guide on optimizing oncology trials. At the end, we encourage you to submit questions at any time and we'll address them during Q&A segment. Now, a quick note about Cloudbyz. We are a leading provider of eClinical solutions. Our platform, natively built on Salesforce, is one of the fastest growing cloud-based clinical trial management systems. We empower organizations of all sizes, right from Fortune 500 to startups, to conduct efficient clinical trials, accelerate life-saving therapies, and improve patient lives. A comprehensive suite includes the CTMS for seamless end-to-end trial management, the EDC, a data management tool to efficiently capture data and management, the eTMF for intelligent document management and audit-ready workflows, eConsent and ePro for digitized 21 CFR Part 11 compliant consent and real-time patient-reported outcomes, safety and pharmacovigilance for real-time safety monitoring, budget and financial model for automated financial tracking, including screen failures reimbursements. Cloudbyz is globally recognized, featured in the Everest Group's peak metrics for CTMS in EDC, and certified for ISO 9001 and 27001 standards. We are headquarters in Chicago, USA, with regional offices in Toronto, Canada, and an offshore delivery center in Bengaluru, India, which helps us support clients globally. Our solutions comply with FDA's 21 CFR Part 11, GCP, HIPAA, and more, ensuring quality and security. For more details or to book a demo, you could visit us on www.cloudbyz.com or contact info@cloudbyz.com. Now let me introduce to our speaker for today. We have Corinne Cato, our account executive. Corinne brings extensive experience in clinical trial operations and a deep understanding of eClinical technologies. She has worked closely with trial sponsors and CROs, helping them leverage modern solutions to enhance trial efficiency and patient engagement. Corinne's insights will guide us through the complexity of oncology trials and how cloud-based solutions addresses them. So let's dive in. Corinne, over to you.
Thanks, Pooja. I just wanted to make sure everyone put a face to the voice, so I'll go ahead and turn my camera off now. But again, thanks so much for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedules to kind of talk about this topic and how we're addressing it. You know, aside from the challenges that the clinical team is already facing in a day-to-day basis, conducting trials for other therapeutic areas, oncology trials specifically, they have a more amplified set of challenges to deal with. So I'm sure most of you are already aware of these, but we're going to quickly review some of the challenges. So first up, study complexity. Oncology trials are the most complex among all the therapeutic areas for a number of reasons. They include 61% more endpoints. That's nearly twice as many procedures that are being completed in non-oncology trials, And so it's a lot of data. So each patient generates over 3,000 data points on average, and you're going to multiply those data points by hundreds of patients, and it's a lot of data to track and analyze. There's extensive ECRF design that's needed for multiple cohorts, biomarker sub-studies, and dose escalation arms. There's dynamic logic and edit checks based on the data that's being captured from the lab, genomic data, imaging data being captured. And then as well, there's frequent protocol amendments, which we'll kind of get to talk about later due to the evolving and emerging science in that space. And then as well, UAT and validation testing. This is usually prolonged due to the complexity of the different scenarios and pathways that have to be tested. And then as well, patient-centric challenges. We can't conduct trials without patients or volunteers, obviously. And then for this particular therapeutic area, oncology, we're looking to enroll late stage or frail patients sometimes, and that's going to result in a higher risk of dropout, unfortunately. The screen failure rates for oncology trials can reach 40 to 60%, particularly when biomarker eligibility is involved. And then there's difficulty matching patients to the studies because they have very specific eligibility criteria outlined. So on top of that, there's operational hurdles. We've got cross-functional collaboration between oncology centers, labs, imaging vendors, sponsors. There's various other key stakeholders who are all involved in this. So taking care of that and addressing all of that. There's recruitment bottlenecks, long timelines. It's going to lead to delays. Nearly 40% of oncology trials actually miss their enrollment timelines, and that's going to lead to extended budgets, more time wasted. Oncology trials, they cost traditionally 20 to 40% more than your average trial. So we're talking a lot of money there. And then finally, what we're going to talk about today is data and technology fragmentation. So separate systems, they don't communicate well. Even paper is still being used, God forbid. And that can lead to duplicate efforts and difficulty pinpointing data points. There's delays in decision-making due to that siloed data, and you have an inability to have trial oversight or a bird's eye view of the trial and how it's going. So the idea is to leverage various types of technology available, and with that, we can begin to address a lot of these challenges that we see and a lot of these challenges that are being faced today. Specifically for the CTMS, in the past, having one of those, a CTMS, was viewed as a nice to have as opposed to critically necessary for conducting trials in the 21st century. But by opting to use a CTMS, users can monitor a lot of things like milestones, performance metrics, deviations, and critical risks all in one place. And we're doing away with Excel files with those endless tabs of trackers that I've seen. EDCs, they've existed for quite some time as a solution to decentralize and streamline the data capture and review process. Paper is being used less and less, which is great, but at the end of the day, we're looking for faster, better solutions when it comes to capturing study data, especially for something as complex as an oncology trial. So a user-friendly and intuitive EDC with standardized templates can make for a quick study setup by your own internal team members who are responsible for that. And ultimately, the faster the study is set up, the faster the sites can be activated, the sooner you can begin to enroll and meet those enrollment timelines that are traditionally missed. Capturing patient-reported outcomes in oncology trials, it's imperative. By offering a convenient patient portal, trial participants, they can remotely log their symptoms, complete questionnaires in real time on their phone or tablet. And as we already discussed, the frequency at which protocols are amended is higher in oncology trials. So there's a lot more protocol amendments due to the constant, like I said, evolving and emerging science. So patients can conveniently reconsent electronically. This is going to reduce paper backlogs, administrative burden, and reduce the regulatory risk there. eTMFs, yeah. So the first eTMFs that emerged in the market in the early 2000s, they were essentially just a customized data management system built to store files, but not necessarily optimizing workflows. And since then, the expectations have evolved significantly. We today expect an eTMF to meet regulatory standards, support audit readiness, and enable real-time oversight. Oncology trials in particular, they generate a high volume of documentation. There's more documents there to keep track of and file. There's more amendments like we talked about. There's lab certifications, biomarker data, safety reports, you name it. There's a lot more documents there. So managing this efficiently requires more than just a storage or a repository. It requires smart functionality. So a modern eTMF, should offer robust search capabilities, automated alerts for missing or expiring documents, as well as integrated workflows that are going to keep your study team proactive and then inspection ready. Another area where oncology trials present some unique challenges is safety monitoring. These are traditionally high-risk populations where AEs and serious safety signals can arise quickly and often unexpectedly. So in traditional models, safety reporting is reactive and fragmented across different systems and different teams and different members of the team. So by using a real-time safety system, it's going to change that dynamic. We're going to enable immediate notifications for SAEs, DSMB reviews, interim analysis, and the study teams can then shift from reactive to proactive. This is going to lead to faster decision-making, earlier interventions, and ultimately better protection and safety for the patients that are enrolled in these oncology trials. Finally, talk about budgets, crunch the numbers. We briefly touched on this, but oncology trials are notoriously more expensive. They're difficult to forecast, especially when we're dealing with complex eligibility criteria, biomarker testing, those high screen failure rates we mentioned, and sites often face delays in payments. Sponsors can lack visibility into their real-time spending. So a budget and finance module or application that automates payment triggers, such as those that are tied to the screen failures or the biopsy completions or even protocol milestones, is going to help reduce that administrative burden. It's going to ensure timely reimbursement to those sites. And this is going to promote transparency, support site retention, and contribute to an overall smoother trial execution. And so when we bring all of this together, intelligent systems, the real-time data flow, integrated workflows, you're going to begin to break down these silos and address these challenges that have historically slowed oncology trials down. Yeah, so we're going to drill down into one of these challenges, specifically the startup timelines for study build being significantly longer for oncology trials. An oncology study build can take up to 3 times as long compared to other therapeutic areas. Why? Because of all the reasons we've already touched upon. Complex CRFs, adaptive study designs, lengthy cross-functional review cycles, you name it. It's going to increase that timeline. And then on top of that, 4 to 6 protocol amendments is the average that we're seeing during the course of an oncology study, which can add weeks to months of delays on top of that. So each time you update a protocol, you have to ask yourself, are all the sites working off the latest version? Are they using the latest and most updated ECRFs? Has the consent form been amended? And then has it been re-signed? So we're going to take a look at this side-by-side comparison here. In a traditional oncology trial setup, just designing the ECRFs can take over 6 weeks. Teams are building from scratch without standardized templates. But with Cloudbyz or technology, we see ECRF setup can be done in under 2 weeks, thanks to a pre-configured library of templates that can be used, as well as AI-supported plugins and tools that we offer. Then comes the complex logic setup, so multi-arm dosing, adverse event tracking, branching logic. It often requires custom coding that can add an additional 4 weeks or more to the timeline. But with a modern system, we get to offer our built-in rule library. There's a drag and drop rule builder with a syntax checker and things like that. So that's going to complete this task in under a week, no coding needed, super easy to use. And then we have our cross-functional reviews. This is another bottleneck. Traditionally, these can take 3 or more weeks due to, disparate communication, email-based communication, document versioning issues, whereas a collaborative platform is going to shorten this to less than a week by allowing for real-time commenting, version control, and a centralized space for these updates to be made. Finally, UAT, or user acceptance testing. This is a linear process. UAT always comes last, and this can take another 4 weeks. So With concurrent testing capabilities and real-time feedback loops enabled, this process can be cut in half to just about 2 weeks, which is great. Looking at these individually, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you zoom out these differences between the two, it's quite significant. So what used to take over 4 months can now be done in as little as 4 to 5 weeks, and you're not sacrificing quality or compliance, which is great. And then specifically for oncology trials, where every week of delay is going to impact patient access to potentially life-saving therapies or making a difference down the line, this kind of acceleration that we need, it's more than operationally efficient, it's mission critical. So we're going to move on to the live demo just to take a look at some of these solutions in action and the features that I've kind of touched upon. So we're just on the homepage of the CTMS. We're going to be going through some of these offerings that we have. The idea is that the platform is going to have everything you need all in one place under one login. You can move across the different apps seamlessly, very easily from the app launcher here. When you do navigate to the various applications, you're greeted by a module-specific set of reports on the home page, as well as any tasks or events that you have coming up, recent records that you've been dealing with. So within the CTMS, the study startup can be handled. We'll go to our study. I have this particular study set up with some data for us. So we'll take a look at that. The subtabs are going to allow me to store and track details and information about the trial, things like which countries or regions this particular trial is being conducted in, the different protocols and their amendments, as well as our IRB or our regulatory approval details, all of that information, tracking that in real time, while offering a repository for the resources that are assigned to the trial. So that's your study team, key contacts or trial contacts, and then that laundry list of associated vendors like imaging and labs. And then as well, so we see milestones and tasks. I don't have any here right now, but at the click of a button, I can simply generate those. I'll select my phase 1 oncology milestones, and that'll generate those for me. I can enter in some planned start dates, the actual start dates, as well as assign them to certain individuals who can be notified of these milestones and their tasks that are assigned to them. I can even track project risks with notifications to alert me before these risks actually even become a reality. So a lot of things that we can do in the CTMS that are, like I said, mission critical. Can also create and track projections. So here we have site activation projections. We'll go ahead and generate some subject enrollment projections, patient enrollment, activity study, study level, site level, cohort level. There's different options there. I can use a milestone to mark, and indicate the date, or I can just pick a date myself. We'll say June 1st. Maybe we're enrolling for a couple months there. And I want to do optimally 3 per month per site. And then we get our projections updated there. I can baseline that. And then as my actuals are coming in, my forecast could change based on that, but the plan will always stay the same, so we can reference that baseline of what we had planned. So a lot of projection capabilities, which is really helpful to ensuring that we're meeting those enrollment timelines that we've set out. Easily create various checklists to replace those disparate Excel trackers with all of their multiple tabs. So checklists can be created within the system. You have the ability to manage those and even have a signature required for the approver as well. There's built-in a feasibility survey feature, so users can pinpoint potential sites based on various parameters like past performance or a specific therapeutic area or an indication, their location. So we'll go ahead and select some contacts. Maybe I'll say it's an oncology trial. We're looking, for US. shorten that list, reach out to them, select an email template. So that's already pre-made for me. I don't have to do any work there. Our feasibility survey is attached, and then I can send that off even with attachments. So if you wanted to upload the protocol synopsis or the protocol itself to go along with that email, you can do so. And then all in one place, we can actually view the responses. So I just have one here, but you can imagine this would be a list of all of my responses, and I can go through those and view all of the responses to determine whether or not that site is going to be considered feasible or not to conduct my trial. There's different types of trainings that we can track, and their assignments to specific team members. I can track my sites that I've selected and their respective details, so I can go into that site and see what's going on there. Maybe they have an essential documents checklist that needs to be completed. And then monitoring. So our CRAs can schedule monitoring visits as per the monitoring plan. So we have a SQB plan today at Site 01 Bolton. They can send out all of the communication directly from the system, follow-up letters, confirmation letters, things of that nature, and then even generate the report itself, all within one place. It can be finalized with that 21 CFR Part 11 compliant e-signature, and then even take it a step further and directly upload that finalized report to the eTMF, where it's supposed to be sitting in its respective folder there. And then once the study has started enrolling, we'll get to see subjects along with their statuses, their respective visits. They can be closely monitor that enrollment. We've separated out the AEs and PDs as their own separate tab here, just to kind of emphasize how important these two things are to track. And then there's additional admin functions like the study templates and, of course, the audit trail, which is pretty consistent throughout the system. We'll see this. In parallel, the finance team, they're setting up the budget for the trial. So we're going to move to our CTFM, Clinical Trial Financial Management application. Again, we're greeted by a application-specific dashboard of reports on the homepage here. And we can see as well, some of the main tabs across the top have changed a bit. So we can set up our standard tasks and their associated rates and the cost of those items, our standard procedures and all of those rates. So these libraries can be used to draft the study budgets, negotiate site budgets. We have our template that we can reference for those budgets as well. Tracking payables, tracking invoices. So this can all be, again, done under one roof by the appropriate team members. Let's switch gears to our EDC. The clinical data manager who's responsible for the programming and the database design, they can easily create ECRF templates in our forms library. They can import them into their study. We'll get to see that shortly. But this is going to promote that standardization and what we discussed, ultimately decrease those study build timelines. So we have different types of forms here. Can sort those forms. Maybe I just want to see eConsents or my ePros or, procedural ECRFs, pre-screen questionnaires. There's different ways that we can view this and create our own list views to sort the forms that we have in our forms library. So we'll go back into our FWD study. You may have noticed that, again, the subtabs within this study now have changed slightly, and that's because we only want to see the details that are relevant to the EDC. The study is the same across the various apps, but how we're interacting with the study is going to change depending on where we're at. So we see the study team, so just assigning who has access to actually work with and see the study data. The planning, which is where we have our visit plan and we're defining our study arms. And setting up the visit plan can actually be as quick and easy as just uploading the trial protocol. If you leverage our AI plugins that we offer, you can feed that into the system. The system will read that information and generate the applicable schedule of events that is in the protocol there. Moving on to our study build. So this is where we're doing that import that I talked about. So I have all of these forms already pretty much set up. They are active. Some of them are even on the second version, but we'll just show you the import feature. So let's say I didn't have this already. Go ahead and select that. And I can even deselect and leave out some fields or questions if it's not applicable for that study. So once that's done, that will generate in my study. I can set permissions and set that up accordingly, saving a lot of time there. And then, as I said, versioning, this is on its second version already. We know it's going to be inevitable based on the sheer number of protocol amendments that are going to happen over the duration of the oncology trial. So very easy to version that, have an effective to and from date to kind of control and make sure that everybody is using the latest forms for data capture. And then when it comes to data capture, you can extend access to your sites via a secure site portal. Even for document collection, communication, collaboration, it's great to have this kind of subset of the information exposed to the site. They can log in, work through their data entry, ask you questions and things like that for clarification on the protocol too. Another portal to offer is the participant portal. So we briefly touched on this, but for patients to log in and conveniently sign consent and those numerous reconsents, complete their ePros. They can, check out their own lab reports and results. Any relevant documents that they might need access to can be shared here. And then as well, their payments or their stipends that are due to them, they can see that information all in one place. And this can include notifications as well for ePros and eDiary windows that have to be met. Okay, coming back internally here, we'll just kind of quickly touch on the additional modules that are available. So then, of course, we have the eTMF. We've alluded to the fact that some of the documents that are generated across the system, like the monitoring report or the correspondence, like the follow-up letter, the confirmation letter. So all of those documents, they can be directly uploaded into the eTMF, just to give you an idea of what that looks like here. That can trigger a review process with real-time notifications. So we see automatically when I add a study, the study folder gets created. Within that study folder, we have various levels here, a holding area that can be used. There's study level, country level, site level, and you can choose to apply either a DIA folder structure, custom folder structure. It just depends on your own workflows and what's being used there. And then finally, we have our safety. Just pull that up really quickly so you can see that before we close it out. Those adverse events and serious adverse events that are captured in the EDC, they can be seamlessly routed into the safety application for further event analysis and assessment. And really that kind of rounds it out and brings us to the end of today's kind of sneak peek of the different features and applications that we offer at Cloudbyz. Key benefits to leveraging a unified eClinical platform to conduct specifically oncology trials. You're going to see overall trial timelines decreased across various areas. You're going to gain a single source of truth, be able to make faster decisions that are going to protect patients and have improved compliance to ensure that you're always ready for an audit no matter what, and creating a better experience for your patients and the sites that you're engaging with. We'll open it up to questions now. I'm not sure if anybody has asked any while I've been droning on about the challenges of oncology trials and kind of how do we address these. But yeah, I'll open it up for questions now. And if we haven't gotten any, that's also okay, because you guys can email me questions as well. We're going to actually be exhibiting at ASCO for those that are going to be there this weekend in Chicago. I will be there. My colleagues Adam, Surya, Vade, our CEO Dinesh will be there, and that's our booth number. It's a mouthful, 28168. But we hope to see you at the booth and stop by and say hello. And yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback, and also about the challenges that you might be experiencing in conducting oncology trials, the way that you're currently doing it. And maybe we can talk about some of these solutions working for you.
Corinne, we just had a question from Michael. I believe the answer is yes, but his question is, I may have missed it since I joined late. Is there a finance module for invoicing?
Yeah, absolutely. I very briefly kind of breezed over it, Michael, but let me just show that to you. CTFM is what we call it. We kind of coined this acronym, Clinical Trial Finance Management. So this is where we're creating our budgets, tracking our payments. We can generate invoices. So all of that functionality is available in the system. I'd love to connect with you, Michael, afterwards, and maybe we can talk about specifically your requirements in terms of invoicing. But yep, all of that is taken care of.
Awesome. Should we then wrap up, Corinne?
Yeah, I'm happy to wrap up. Again, you guys know where to find me on LinkedIn, or send me an email, or yeah, I'd love to connect and just, again, talk about your challenges, and expand on some of these topics that we spoke about today, whether that's in person at ASCO and you have the privilege of going, or we can always meet virtually.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone who stayed till the end. Should you have any more questions, you could always visit our website, www.cloudbyz.com. You can also contact us at info@cloudbyz.com, or if you would like to schedule a personalized demo, we'd be happy to set that up for you. This recording will be shared via email with all of you, and will also be posted on our website. Thank you so much for joining us, and we definitely look forward to connecting again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.